Can't wait.
I was gonna try to take you out on.
You're good.
That's
Monday,
fine, right?
But I got food poisoning and I was like dying.
No, you're
Cap.
Yeah.
Cap.
No, it wasn't cat, bro.
The good old food poisoning
No.
line.
So many excuses out here, bro.
I use that a lot.
That's all I hear.
Nah, bro.
No, it's cool. You got me shoes, bro.
That's not.
I really like them a lot.
Do you?
I would tell you if I didn't like them.
Okay.
I really do.
They're meant for running.
Yeah, those are nice running shoes.
Oh, we're rolling right now.
We are. I'm just doing my quick test. All right, let's do it.
All right. Well, welcome back to the podcast. It's your boy Divij. This is the Divij's Den, episode 104. Very special episode, and I know that I say that about all the episodes that we do, but truly this one's very special because it's someone that I've known for a long time, and he's very close to my heart, and I'm excited to dive in and learn more about him and also just everything that he's doing, all the cool shit that he's up to. And of course, say hi to Christian. Christian, say hi to the. Okay.
What's up, guys?
So, yeah, so I'm going to give him a quick intro. Not only is he a really great friend of mine and my brother, but he is also the director of A&R Publishing at Avex USA, USC graduate, and a manager for quite a few amount of people. Finesse, Kyle Reynolds, Story Music, Tobias Winkhorn, I hope I said that right,
Yep.
and Nicky John Pabone. We got Brennen Bryant, a.k.a. Liddell, in the building.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming,
it.
bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. This is not something I do all the time, but I love watching the podcast, and I'm excited that I finally get to be a part of it. So fucking let's go.
Let's
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it, bro. You had a podcast at one point.
I did, yeah. So I had a podcast during COVID just because I wanted to fill my time up with something. I called it Across the Board.
Yeah.
I think we did like 6 episodes. And then I was like, this is too much. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I got to, talk to some cool people. And I enjoy, just like you guys, like learning about people and like having these interactions and, conversations. So I'm glad that I can be on this one.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
We're excited to have you, bro. I think the biggest thing with podcasting is you just have to keep going and
Yeah.
going and going, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
Yeah. So, dude, you are very interesting to me, not only because you're just a kind person and I
Appreciate it.
love you and whatnot, but your trajectory in the music business is beyond, I think, what I've seen at least and what I've been exposed to. And it was very fast, right? Like, you were a rapper.
Yeah, I was.
You went by Liddell.
I went by Liddell, which is my middle name.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
where
know
it
that.
comes from.
But you went from being a rapper at USC, and I remember we had this like group project. We were sitting there like working on music stuff, and you were always just very intrigued and like in tune when it came to music. But fast forward now, you're a manager and you're killing it. I want to just hear about your story. Like, can you fill people in on what that journey's been?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Div said, went to USC. Kind of really wanted to be in music, but wasn't really sure the route that I wanted to take. And everybody who wants to be in music typically wants to be an artist. So, we tried the artist route. We made music. I quickly began to realize, especially going to USC, that it was going to be expensive, especially after college. So I was like, you know what? In order to pay these student loans, I got to figure out something else. Like, I can't just be an artist unless I miraculously get a record deal out of nowhere and then I'm set. But that's very unlikely, right? So, it's hard enough to enter music. I knew that the business route was probably going to be something that made a lot more sense. And come my junior year, I was able to kind of actualize that idea and went to this panel that was hosted in the same room that we had our PR class in, actually, with Lorena.
Lorena, yeah.
So they did a panel in there. It was Jamil Davis, who is G-Eazy's manager and Drake's tour manager. Formerly G-Eazy's manager. He doesn't work with them anymore. His business partner, Tyler Henry, who manages Party Next Door, who also went to USC.
Yeah.
And then a guy whose name I'm forgetting, but he signed Gallant. Oh, David Dan. He signed Gallant. So, yeah, it was a really amazing panel, incredible people in the industry that I really looked up to and respected. But when Tyler was speaking, I kind of resonated with him a lot just because he went to USC. He started working for Jamil, which, funny enough, you'll understand is kind of ironic given my kind of trajectory. And it made a lot of sense for me to go up and talk to him. So went up and talked to him. I asked him how I could get into the industry. At the time, I was an artist, so I was asking him questions about artistry and things like that. He ended up giving me his email, And then a couple weeks passed, and we were in the PR class, and she said something that spoke to me, which was like, utilize your connections, which I think is very important in music. You know, your net worth is your network is your net worth type situation. So I was just sitting there when she said that, and I was like, who do I know that I can hit to kind of like help escalate this a bit? And it was like, oh, Tyler Henry, I should email him. So I emailed him in that class, and by the time I left, I looked at my phone, and he's like, let's have a meeting. So I was like fucking stoked. I was like, I'm about to meet Tyler.
That's
Tyler
crazy.
Henry, Party Next Doors manager. Like, I was texting my mom, I was texting everybody I knew, because at that time it was like a big deal for me. So I went to meet with him. Nothing crazy happened. I think I did an internship for him for a bit, and I ended up having to like clean up some celebrities' clothes. And I was like, okay, I'm not trying to do this anymore. Like, this is not the vibe. And from that panel, though, I followed Jamil. And he posted on his story and was like, I need someone to work for me at this party at Delilah. So I DM'd him. He has a lot of followers, probably gets 1 million messages a day. I didn't hear back. But at the time, I was friends with Zach Bia, who was in my fraternity. So I hit Zach and I was like, hey, can you connect me to Jamil? And he was, you know, gracious enough to do that. And I was able to work that party. So I was the only one who stayed from, I think it was from like 4 p.m. till 5 a.m. And I was cleaning up some shit that was like hung up on the wall, like on a ladder. Like, nobody told me to do it. They were just like, we need to clear the venue and everything needs to be gone. And then out of nowhere, Jamil's like, that's how you get a fucking job. And I think that day he fired his assistant.
Stop.
Which is like so serendipitous, and like the universe was like working out for me. But the next day he called me. He was like, hey, I just fired my assistant last night. You did such a good job. Like, do you want to come in for an interview? I was like, fuck yeah, this is amazing. So I went in for the interview. I do really well during interviews. So I was like, I think I got this. So I just got to go crush the interview. It'll be straight. Did the interview, went perfect. He calls me right after and was like, when can you start? And it was like a dream come true. You know, I'm going into my senior year. It was my junior year summer. So it was like everything was working out. During that internship, I was his assistant full time. I ended up going on tour with G-Eazy for a couple of weeks. I met Ty Dolla $ign, Lil Uzi, Murda, YBN Amir, and G-Eazy obviously on the tour. And then after that, I went on tour with Drake. So I was on tour with them for the Aubrey and the Three Amigos tour. I went with them to Wireless Festival in London. I did OVO Festival. So I was around like all the OVO crew and like, around Drake, and got to meet him, which was like a dream come true. Super nice guy.
That's
fucking
crazy.
Incredibly talented, obviously. So, you know, being close to that crew and still close to that crew now has been like, you know, a dream come true for me. You know, I'm like 1 degree of separation from Drake, which is not something everyone can say. So it's a huge blessing for me. And I love them. They're all amazing people. But after that experience with Jamil, I had to go back to school. It was my senior year of college. So I was like,
you were still in school when all this happened?
I was still in school when all this was happening. So this is like junior year summer. And then once school started up, I was like, I can't be a part-time assistant anymore. I can't be a full-time assistant anymore. Can I be part-time? And he said no, he needed a full-time assistant, which I totally understood. So I ended up having to quit that job, unfortunately. Like, imagine getting this big opportunity and then having to say no to it just because you have to finish school. I was devastated, like literally. So
did you, in that moment, were you like, damn, I'm going to quit school? Like,
I really wanted to be honest with you, but I knew that my parents wouldn't like that, and I also wouldn't like that, just because I don't like quitting in general. I don't want to quit two things. I don't want to quit something that I've been working at for my whole life for an opportunity that maybe I can get another chance for. You know what I mean? I worked so hard to get into USC, had good grades, was doing like every extracurricular possible, played basketball, like did a whole round of interviews for my scholarship. Like, I didn't want to quit that, you know? So I figured that hopefully that experience would help me with another experience, and thank God it did. So once I quit, word got around that I wasn't working for Jamil anymore, and Corey Litwin, who's Murda Beatz' manager, hit me up. And that's kind of how that whole connection started. So I told him that I was looking for part-time work. He's like, let's do it. I started working part-time for him. And Corey Litwin is Murda Beatz' manager. So I was basically doing a lot of day-to-day stuff for him, like scheduling and like admin work. That slowly transitioned into doing like all of his show advancing. The first show that I ever advanced was Coachella, which was kind of crazy.
What does it mean by advancing a show?
Yeah, so it's basically communicating with the venue, figuring out like what the sound check is, when the set time is, figuring out all the travel. So like, you know, whether they have to drive there or fly there or whatever. For Coachella, we drove. So like figuring out the van and everything like that. And then during the show, it's making sure he gets on stage at the right time. It's helping with like all the special guests. So during Coachella, I was able to meet like Rich the Kid, A$AP Ferg, and DMX, rest in peace, because he brought DMX out on his, I think it was 2019 or 2018 Coachella set. And that went perfectly. And it was crazy for me because at that time, I think I was 21. And I was around all these people who've been doing this for so long and getting advice from all these people that have been doing this for so long. And like, I crushed it my first time. So I was like, okay, this is something that I should be focusing on, right? So Coachella happened, went really well. They were like, do you want to do a bigger tour? So I started to do that. So I did Murda's first or second U.S. tour or something like that. And the tour was with A$AP Ferg, Made in Tokyo. We did like 30 to 35 dates around the U.S. and 2 in Canada.
Are you with them the entire time?
I was with them the entire time.
Oh, wow.
So this was from November to December, and we were on a bus.
Wow.
Imagine my tall ass in one of those bunks.
Yeah.
It was pretty it was like a coffin. I'm just like, but you know, it was a fun experience. It was crazy because at the time I was like 21, 22. All the other tour managers were like 30, 35, 40. And they all thought I was older too, which, you know, I look older, so it made sense. But crazy experience. Came back. I was like, I don't really want to tour manage full time. Like, it's cool, but it's not something I want to build a career in. And that's what led to management. So that's when I signed my first client, Finesse.
And I want to get into that because his trajectory has
It's
been insane too.
Yeah.
So how did you find Finesse?
So funny enough, he just DM'd me beats, and I was like, these are fire. So this is like a case study for anybody out there who's like trying to work in music. If you believe in yourself and you believe in your ear, you should really focus on finding someone and developing them, because that's really what Finesse was. It was a developmental project. He didn't have anything. He was a fucking mechanic who was just super talented at making beats. He sent me a pack, and there was like a couple beats that I really gravitated towards. I was like, bro, you're gonna be a fucking like fire producer. Like, we should figure this out. So he ended up flying out to LA. We met for the first time. Super cool kid, was driven, was very hungry. Like, he really wanted it just like I did. And we built up an amazing career for him. So when I first found him, he had 1,000 followers. Now he has like 150,000 followers. He's verified. He's the biggest producer in Italy. He's produced 1 million songs, but he's produced Yonaguni by Bad Bunny, which is Bad Bunny's fastest song to 1 billion streams. So that was like his highlight moment of his career, which helped catapult him a little bit more. But since then, he did another one with Bad Bunny recently with Mike Towers, which is like Mike Towers' #1 song right now. It has like 200 to 300 million streams on Spotify. And he also has an artist project in Italy where his own single, his first single that he ever dropped, hit 100 million streams in like 5 months, which is pretty insane. Yeah.
Like doing vocals?
No, so he just produced it, kind of like a DJ Khaled thing, or like a Murda thing, where like they produce it and it's their song, but they get like artists featuring on it.
Got it.
So we got the biggest 3 features in Italy from that.
And
Shiva?
how did you how did you put all those pieces together?
So
how do you go from, you know, to getting Bad Bunny on the track?
Yeah, so for that one, Finesse was really good at making connections, and that's another reason why I wanted to work with him. Being a manager is interesting because there's going to be a lot of times where like you don't do a lot, but you're such a big part of the team where like it doesn't matter and you still have impact. So for that situation specifically, I can't really take credit for it because that was all Finesse. He was able to put the pieces together to get a loop to one of Bad Bunny's producers, and then they made the song. You know what I mean? But then I was able to come in on the back end, help with the business, and then help to make that a bigger moment. So we got him in like a bunch of articles that helped with getting his page verified and just like helped amplify that. You know what I mean? So I think just recognizing talent and being there and being on the team is something a manager does. Obviously, you're going to make plays every now and then, but a big part of it is also like helping the vision go forward. And that's like what we've been able to do. Like, I was like, we're going to make you an artist. We're going to help you develop that career as well. You're going to be producing in Italy and here. So, you know, he's been able to do that at a very high frequency and has been making a lot of big records. He also did NLE Choppa's Slut Me Out, which is, which like went super viral.
Yeah, that's a massive record.
Yeah. So,
and he did Polo G and stuff too, right?
Polo G, Nicki Minaj. All the ones I mentioned previously, and then all these big Italian rappers. So he rolls with like, basically it's the Drake of Italy is like his friend, his best friend. Shiva.
I remember Shiva. I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, I was in at Very Special Studios. And you brought him. And I think that was like one of the first times you met him.
I think that was one of our first studio sessions. And then one of the first artist sessions he had, rest in peace, was with PNB Rock.
Wow.
So he did that with Foster. I don't know if you met
Yeah,
Foster
yeah.
too, but
I haven't met him, but I'm familiar.
yeah, so he did that with one of our other producers named Foster. So that was like a really, crazy moment to be like in that session, and like think back on it now is like crazy. But yeah, so, from Finesse, I ended up picking up other clients, like some that you mentioned, Kyle, another incredible pop writer that I manage. He's also an artist, drops his own
He
music.
actually lived in your old building.
Did he really?
Kyle, yeah. I would see him all the time.
Columbia Square?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah,
know.
Kyle lives there.
Interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to dox him. Shit.
No, it's okay. That's funny. I didn't know that. And then, picked up a couple other people, and then I also manage engineers. So I manage Jack Harlow's engineer. His name's Nicky John Pabone. He's absolutely super talented. He's mixing other projects now, too. Like, he's doing 2C's whole next album.
Oh, wow.
So we're working out the paperwork on that. And, now my goal is just to, like, help those people develop while also doing my job at Avex, which is essentially the same thing, just finding fire producers, signing them to the company, and then setting up sessions for them and stuff. So it's been a crazy, I think, we graduated 4 years ago.
No, more, bro.
More than
6. 2018.
2019, so it's been 5.
Oh, you're 2019.
I'm 2019. You're 2018? Okay, so it's been 5 for me. But in humbly speaking, it is hard to make a career go from something to nothing in 5 years, especially having no connections at all. Like, I lived in Lancaster and then came to LA. So like, it's not like I've been in LA my whole life. Like, a lot of people that work in music have lived in LA their whole life. So they might have like family connections or like some sort of club connection that's helped them get to that point. But me, it was literally just super organic, where I went to USC and I was like, how do I utilize this to be the entry point? So, it's been pretty crazy. I've met my idols. I met Drake. I met John Mayer, who are like my favorite artists. I've been able to do things that some people will never do in their whole lifetime, and I'm very blessed and fortunate for that. And I take that with a sense of pride. So, I'm excited for the future. I think it's going to be really cool, and I have a lot of other stuff that I'm working on right now. So, life's in a good place. Yeah.
What do you accredit that success to? Because there's a lot of kids that went to USC, like for example me or whoever else, where they come out of school, 4 years later, and they're like, shit, I got to move back with my parents, or now I got to go get a job and I don't know where to go. Like, what made you different? Like,
number one, God helped me out the most, but that's a given. He put me in situations where like I couldn't even imagine. Like, just being in the room during that panel. I was sick, by the way. I forgot to mention I had the flu. So I was like, I didn't want to go, but something in me was like, you need to go. And then the Delilah party, I wanted to leave. Like, so bad. I wanted to leave so fucking bad. And something in me was like, you have to stay. And like those like little things that come up, like that's God telling you, like, you got to do this, And then number 2 is my parents. My parents are both teachers. My family is actually just full of teachers. So, growing up, there was a high emphasis on, finishing school and like doing well in that. And they just gave me good morals and, gave me the drive and the passion, which I also picked up from playing basketball. So that's like another thing that kind of ties into the whole work ethic thing and being able to like be consistent and stay on it, just because you have to do that in sports. So, and then the third thing I think is just like self-determination and drive. I feel like, and self-awareness too, because, there's a lot of kids at USC that come from like the wealthier families, and you tend to get into a situation in wealthy families, and this isn't for everybody. It's not absolute, but you'll get in a situation where they feel too comfortable and they're not as self-aware to where it's like, everything will be fine. You'll be good. We got you. Like that whole thing. Like, I didn't have that from my family. It's like, we believe in you. You can do this. Go do it. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to help you if you need it, but like, this is your life. You're out of the house. Like, you got to go figure this out. Like, I remember calling my mom and I was just like, Mom, I don't know what to do. And she straight up told me, like, you got to figure this out. This is your life. Like, and I respect that because I had to figure it out. She's like, I can't tell you what to do. You know what I mean? So she's like, you got to follow what you want to do. And I know that you'll be able to do that because I trust you because we raised you properly. So I want to, attribute that to my parents for sure. Yeah.
I love that, dude. I want to go back to what you said about God, because that was one of the things I really wanted to talk about with you. Did your parents raise you to believe in God, or did you find God throughout your journey?
I was baptized Catholic and was raised Christian. My grandparents are Catholic, and I went to Catholic church, but my mom slowly realized that wasn't the vibe. So we went to Christian church, and that's kind of where I, learned about God and got closer to him on a deeper level. I haven't been in so long, but I'm still very close to God, and I pray a lot. And you know, my career is like hinged on the things that He's done for me. So I still am very strong in that belief and faith.
Yeah.
Just don't practice it as much as I should, for sure.
Yeah, got it. But because when you mentioned like you're at Delilah and you want to leave, but something in you is telling you not to go. Like some people would call that like intuition or gut feeling,
divine intervention.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's different for everybody, and at the end of the day, it's really about what you believe in. And I'm not going to knock anybody for believing something differently. But for me, what I believe is that's like God telling me, And there's times where I might be like, oh, that's me saying it in my head, but maybe it's not. And maybe it's something else. You know what I mean? And we can't really ever prove that until the day we die and we know what's really going on. But, I think it's better to believe in something than nothing in my mind.
Yeah.
So,
amen.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, because when I asked you the question, I already had an answer for what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I thought it was all those things that you said, but
Yeah.
also kindness. Because I think you're just a kind
appreciate
soul.
that.
Yeah. So why are you so nice? The first thing. And then the second thing is
nice.
like where does that mindset, because you just seem like you're very grateful, you're always present.
Yeah.
Like where does that stem from? Like is that accredited to your parents?
I think it must be. I think it must be the way I was raised. Just because I was raised to treat everybody how I want to be treated, and obviously that's like a Christian thing too, like the golden rule.
Yeah.
But I find that you're obviously gonna get into a better place when you're treating people nicer. Like there's a lot of slimy people in music, and I have to encounter a lot of those slimy people pretty much on a daily basis. But that's not the way I want to be for myself.
Yeah.
And I think working in music for so long, I've been able to kind of realize what I want to be like, and they've taught me what I don't want to be like. And it just speaks volumes, because when people like you, they're going to hit you up. Like they're going to text you about opportunities. They're going to text you about a session or like a new artist or producer. And that happens to me all the time. So it's like, if I'm able to be the type of person where if I'm not there, people like mention my name and they're like, oh, I love Brennen. Like if they say that and people tell me that happens quite a bit, like that makes me feel good and that I'm doing something right. And at the end of the day, I'm also just trying to help people around me, because, I wouldn't say that I got like help per se. I had a couple opportunities and people helping me here and there, but for the most part, I was able to grind and do it myself too. So I want to put people in position where they can have it a little bit easier, or I can make a play for them and, they can kind of excel from that. So, I've been able to do that over the last couple of years and help out my friends so that they can work in music and do that too. Because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to see my friends win and do things with my friends and be happy at the end of the day. So
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Bring everybody up with you. You don't need to just be the only person. One of my notes was, and then you go, was literally toxicity and devil in the music business.
Yeah.
So like as someone who, I think you spread the light, like you're very positive. How do you navigate that negativity, and how does it not drain you? Because I feel like I was in the music business too. I worked at Interscope and Capitol. I was there for 6 months and I got the fuck out, because I was like, I can't do this. Like it was like soul crushing.
Totally. At the beginning, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you have no say and like you're just an assistant, or you're just someone coming up in the industry and not really well respected, or don't have a lot of followers. You know what I mean? Like things like that. But at the beginning, I knew that it was part of the journey. I love trusting the journey and trusting the process, and I believe in that firmly. Like life is a marathon, not a sprint.
For sure.
Every year, you're just trying to get to the next step, and it doesn't really matter how you get there. It's just the matter of getting there. So combating the toxicity, it was really just like me thinking about future Brennen. Like I'm always trying to do what future Brennen would want me to do, and like what's gonna make future Brennen happy. I don't give a fuck about present Brennen. I'm trying to be happy. Like I'm happy right now, but like I want future Brennen to be like fucking in Costa Rica, not caring about nothing, with like millions of dollars and just chilling on a beach. You know what I mean? And helping out his family and helping out his friends, bringing his friends on a trip, like shit like that.
I'll be there.
Exactly. Div's coming with me, bro. And this is the thing. I want to bring this back to you too. Like I feel like your journey has also been super astronomical as well, and you've been a shining light in my life. So I just want to say thank you, and like me, surrounding myself with you all these years has been a blessing for me too, because I'm seeing all the cool things that you're doing.
Thank you.
And it's just awesome seeing people that you really like win, and you're also a very positive. Like, isn't he a fucking positive guy?
It's the best, bro.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm like
I've never seen him like upset. But like,
He brings everyone up. That's the
Every
thing.
time I see
Everyone
him.
around, dude, bro. Of course.
Aw,
that's why.
thank you,
That's
guys.
why it's like it's easy to be around you, bro. Like, and people
you.
are gravitate towards you because you are like a breath of fresh air, and you are always looking to uplift everyone around you. So
and
it's-
you're a
Thank
motivator.
you,
Like
you are a motivator.
You know, you hit me to go to Rumble, like which we still need to do, by the way.
Yeah, we gotta
And I
run
have
that.
your clothes in my car, by the way.
Bet, I'll get those
Pause.
out.
But we do need to like uplift those around us and like create these communities where
Yeah.
our friends are winning, because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you're helping out your friends, like my best friend Ben, like we're always helping each other out, and like we have this thing that we're working on that I'll speak about a little bit later,
Yeah.
where you know that's going to be something that's going to help us on the money side. So you know, we helped each other on the emotional side in college and throughout our lives, and he's been there
Yeah.
for me forever, and now we're building a company together. So it's like
So
just little
sick.
things like that, you know, that I'm super excited about and hype on. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think, you know, having that positive energy and uplifting those around you is like one of the biggest joys about being human.
100%. And I want to get into what you guys are working on, but before we get there,
Totally.
we're just real quick. I think, you know, I always try to be the light, and I think we all try to do that in this room. Like when we're around people, like we want to make people happy, we want to
Yeah.
make them laugh, we want to make them feel motivated to do X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, when you go back home and you have to look in the mirror, and you know, there's nights where I feel sad.
Yeah.
I feel anxious. I feel anxious every day. Actually, I was
Yeah.
anxious like 20 minutes ago. I'm anxious right now. But like,
It's like, where's Brennan?
yeah, no, I was like checking my pulse. Literally was checking my pulse like 10 seconds ago. But like,
Yeah.
like how do you deal with that anxiety? And I think for me, it's just like anytime I feel the anxiety creeping up, or I like to think it's the devil that's like trying to
Yeah.
like knock and get into my body, I just go immediately into prayer.
Yeah.
And I feel better.
Yeah.
So like, do you do something like that? Do you have
So,
a process?
man, this is such a weird topic for me because it's something that I'll explain. So when I first started in music, I was like pretty anxious and like always hard on myself. And I would get almost these heart palpitations where like my body would like
Yeah.
have this negative effect, and I would get super emotional and like, cause I'm a perfectionist. So if I fuck something up, like when I was an assistant and get yelled at, like my body would go into like these crazy shocks. Like, cause I didn't like that. I didn't like the
Yeah.
fact I was letting someone down. So I think I went through this period of doing that so much that my body just kind of numbed it out a little bit. And now that doesn't happen anymore. So I don't really get anxious or like
Interesting.
like those weird feelings anymore. And it's more of like, if anything, I'll get annoyed. Like if something like that happens, I'll just get annoyed. I won't
Yeah.
really get anxious. So like anxiety for me has kind of, I feel like I went through this boot camp of like how to break that. And
Got
like,
it.
don't get me wrong, I'll have these moments where I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? But then my brain will just logically put it together. Cause I'm a very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Solution-based thinker. So my brain doesn't like to go to problems. Like it's immediately like if there's an issue, like fuck, let me think of something. Like if something goes wrong at work, like I'm not like focusing on the issue, like, oh my God, this is
You're not
fucked up, blah,
dwelling,
blah, blah, blah. Like
overthinking.
that's what I would do. I would be like, this is what I need to do to fix it. Like if someone drops out of a session, I'm not like, damn, I don't know who I'm gonna find. Like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. No, it's like, okay, they dropped out, let me find another person. Like it's not that big a deal, you know? And that's
practical approach.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's something you kind of have to like go through to kind of work through. Either that or like do therapy, which I've done in the past and it's helped. But it's something where, you know, like my anxiety kind of, I don't really get anxious anymore. It's weird. Like when I go on dates now, it actually works for that because I don't really get anxious
Interesting.
when I go on dates.
Yeah.
Unless it's a girl I'm like super into.
Are you drinking on dates, or are you just
Nah,
sober?
I mean, I might have like one drink, but
Okay.
I'm not
You
like,
don't need to
I'm not
lean on
going
it.
crazy. Nah,
That's
like
great.
I'll have like a glass of wine, but I'm
Yeah.
not like, fuck, I need to take some shots to like go through this date, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'll pull up, I'll be like super chill, which has helped. So it's like,
Yeah.
it helps with like self-confidence and things like that. As far as advice goes, you know, whenever you get into those anxious situations, you kind of just got to mentally take a step back and realize that everything's going to be fine. Like you're going to figure it
Yeah.
out and just focus on figuring it out. Don't focus on the issue. Focus on figuring it out and you'll be okay.
Yeah. I love that. You were gonna say something, but I cut you off like 4
Nah,
times.
bro. It's
Did you
know,
forget?
no, I forgot. You're,
Fuck, I
you're
knew it.
Perfect.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, no. So I'm reading this book. It's called The Power Now, and I talk about it every
I'm reading
single
that too.
podcast. Really?
Yeah, I just started it last week, but
Dude,
I'm
so
only
good.
like 5 pages in, so because
Oh my
I
God.
just finished this horror novel that I was reading too. So.
Yeah, you have
But
a weird
Power of Now is
obsession
a
with
good one.
horror.
I love scary shit, and I
Yeah.
have the Jack
thing.
Skellington tattoo here. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Power of Now. I've read it so many times, but you're in for such a treat, bro. It's such a good book.
excited.
But it talks about, in a small section, it talks about like how man loses themselves when they're not busy or at work, right? So like, Are you constantly working, or do you take time to
I
chill?
take time off for sure. I think
Okay.
I was in the space where I was working so much that I wasn't taking care of myself at all. Like when I first started with Jameel, like I was working my ass off. Like it was a lot. And there were times where I was like not really eating as much. I wasn't going to the gym. I was very thin. But I needed to do that because like I would do all the work during the day, get home, finish every email, go to bed, same thing next day. Like that's how
Yeah.
my days went. And now I'm kind of in this place, especially with being at Avex and having like a higher position and everything like that, where I'm kind of the leader of the team and I'm able to like have these moments of, okay, if I need to take a break and like, you know, go outside and take a walk, like I can do that, or like things like that. But I couldn't do that before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like you have to grind all the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like I am constantly working, but I have help. Like I have someone who I have on my team, on my management team named Zach. Shout out Zach. He's the fucking best. He's literally like a me on steroids. He's just super talented and organized and helps me with all my management clients. But my days kind of go like all my AVEX work. I might get a client who calls me here and there, like some A&R or manager. And then after that, go home, eat, and then I'll do all my management stuff. And then I'll like kind of wind down for the night.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like my Monday through Friday. And then weekends are pretty much like open. So, you know, I'm in a place now where I've kind of, I wouldn't say taking my foot off the gas, but definitely like a little bit more on cruise just because like things are in a good rhythm.
Yeah.
And I don't really need to like stress out. And I'm trying to focus more on like my health and going to the gym and doing yoga and Rumble and things like that. So I would say I'm constantly active, but I'm not like constantly like overworked or stressed, if that makes sense.
No, you have a great balance in your life,
Exactly.
which is very important.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to talk music a bit deeper because I think it's interesting for those that are watching to understand the music industry and especially the financial side. Because when I was in the music business, I was very confused about how artists actually made money.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me like the people at the top of the labels wanted to like almost like not share with those underneath them because they didn't want to get replaced at some point.
Yeah.
So can you kind of break down your understanding of how artists are actually making money right now?
Totally. I think it's interesting because I work in like the sector of music where the most money, not the most money, but it's basically the real estate of the music industry. So publishing. So publishing is essentially ownership of copyright, and publishing companies buy that copyright from artists, producers in exchange for an advance. So like when we sign a producer, we're basically giving them money, like let's say a couple $100,000 to purchase their copyright on records, to have a percentage of that. And then we collect a percentage over time as they're recouping. So like a portion of the money that comes in goes to the recoupment, and then a portion goes to the publishing company's pocket in exchange for the upfront advance. So that's kind of where a good portion of the money comes from. Publishing is like, you know, you hear a big song on the radio, like the Shaboozey single. Shout out Shaboozey. That's also my dog. I met him like 5 years ago, and like to see him grind, and blow up is insane. Yeah. And his manager, Boss, is one of my good friends. Shout out to Boss. But that song, for example, it's been #1 for 5 weeks now. It's crushing country radio. Like they're probably bringing in like more than $1 million a week in money in publishing.
Just from publishing.
Just from that. So it's like insane. Yeah. So it's insane to think about that and like think about all the money that's being generated. So a portion of that is going to the publishing companies, the writers, the artists, all that. So it's being separated. But if a song is big at radio, that's when you're going to make a lot of money in publishing. Streaming, not so much, just because the rates are so fucked up right now, and like the board is trying to make it to where songwriters get paid more. But the main money that's being made from music tends to be from that publishing side, and then also on the touring side. Because with labels, for example, I mean, labels are taking all the money. They're taking 85, sometimes 90% of the revenue from the artist, and the artist is getting like anywhere from 10 to 15. So the artist isn't making that much from the label side. The label's crushing it though, obviously. They're making 80 to 90% of the revenue, but the artist isn't making that much from the actual record. But from the touring and the sales of merchandise and all that, they're taking in crazy amounts of money, you know? Like Shaboozey might go do a show and make like 6 figures a show or something, like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what his rate is, but you know, like he might be, you know, do a club show and make like 70K or 80K, 90K, whatever it is. And you know, that's how artists are really making money. Like, you know, T-Pain does a show and might make like $500,000 for a show. You know what I mean?
Nuts.
So I think the touring, the live show, and then everything that's like outside of that, like for example, like we'll go back to T-Pain. Just because he's built up his brand so much, he's able to expand from that. So like
Yeah.
his streaming shit,
Yeah.
like he said he's making more money from streaming than he is in music, but he got that from music. You know what I mean? Because he
Yeah.
built up his brand. So at the end of the day, it's branding, and it's, are you able to create a big enough brand in order to transcend the music industry? And that's the goal for every artist. That's the goal for every producer. That's the goal for myself. Like the goal at the end of the day is to build a brand bigger than my job, so that I can leverage every relationship that comes across my way, so that we can all make money at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a couple different ways to make money in music, but I would say like, you know, touring, publishing are like the main revenue sources.
Our merchandise, brand deals,
Brand deals too, yeah.
those two things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it. So people can make money in music.
Totally, and even as an
Okay.
independent artist, you can make money. Like,
Yeah.
I know an independent artist who has like 2 to 3 million monthlies, but he owns 100% of his masters, and he's probably bringing in like, I don't know, 100K a month or something
Wow.
like that.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, that's fucking good revenue, and you're not even that big an artist. Like, if I named him, like, you probably wouldn't know like who he is. But he's still making a lot of money and like able to make money making music, which is like the goal at the end of the day if you
Yeah.
want to do that. So for anyone out there who's really trying to make money making music and like do their thing, it's definitely possible, and there's ways to do it. It's just a matter of like understanding who your audience is and how to leverage your audience in order to make money. Like if you're going on tour, like make dope merch so that it sells out. You know what I mean? Like I think Ken Carson posted something about his merch selling out at a show, and they made like 100K or something like that from
Oh,
one
wow.
show. Yeah, so like bro, one show you're making 100K. Like you're on a 30-day tour.
It's a lot of
That's
money.
a lot of money. So
Yeah.
it's like, especially as an up and coming artist or whoever you are, obviously up and coming, you might make a little less, but that merch is going straight to your pocket. You know, you're giving your manager a commission and stuff like that, but you're still
Yeah.
gonna make a decent amount of money, and it's
Is
gonna
it
help you out.
better to be record signed or independent?
It's gonna depend. I think this is an interesting topic because there's no right answer.
Yeah.
It really depends on who you are as an artist. You're gonna get these independent artists who say, "Be independent. It's gonna work out. You gotta
Russ.
do your thing." Yeah, Russ, which I love Russ, by the way, and Russ crushed it and found
Yeah.
a way to make it work. But he is a very rare case.
Anomaly.
You could drop a song a week for 2 years like Russ did and not get shit happening. Like for real. It's not gonna song a week, Div.
Nah,
Come on. Like
song a month, song a
Yeah,
month.
song a month. He was dropping a song a week for 2 years, Russ.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I think that's just an insane case study, obviously. But
Yeah.
the reason for a label is to have a team who knows what they're doing. And some labels don't know what the fuck they're doing. But like there's some labels that you sign to who
Yeah.
you need that energy from. So it's not really like, should I be independent? Should I be signed? It's really a matter of who is the team. If you have a team who's able to help you, fuck it, be independent. Like if they know how to do digital marketing and how
Yeah.
to do different types of, you know, experiential marketing to build a fan base, yeah, you're gonna make a shit ton of money if you're independent. You're not giving away 90% of your catalog, you know?
Yeah.
So it definitely depends on the case, but if you end up building up to a career like the artist I'm saying, like 2 to 3 million monthlies, stay independent. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
100%.
Keep that shit.
Yeah, so it just depends on who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Who are some artists right now that you're excited about?
Ooh, so let me pull out my Spotify for this one,
Let's
because
go.
this is like one of those ones that
The
I have
inside.
to kind of think about. Okay, so there's this girl. I always forget how to pronounce her name. I think it's Anicia.
Anise? Okay.
Anicia, something
Yeah.
like that. But she has a song with Lotto called "Back Outside," which is super fire.
I feel like I already know how that song goes.
It's like I'm back outside.
Yeah.
You make
Booty
me
shaking
mad. There's this artist who just dropped this song called Humankind.
Oh, yeah,
The
Hanuman.
Big Dogs.
Hanuman.
Hanuman. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Hanuman is, for those of you guys listening, go check out the song. What's it called?
Big Dogs.
Big Dogs by Hanuman Kind. Hanuman is an Indian
Yep.
god, so it's a play on like.
Oh,
God.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an insane video. The song is going
Yeah.
super fucking viral. It has like 60 million streams. I think it came out like 3 weeks ago. But my friend signed him to Capitol.
Wow.
So I'm really fucking excited about what they got going for him. Let's see who else. Jordan Adetunji with that Kalani song. That song is super fire. Trying to think who else. I really like Fade. He's a Latin artist. He's already
F.E.I.D.?
massive. F.E.I.D.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he came up out of nowhere.
yeah,
bro.
pretty much out of nowhere. I mean,
Yeah.
for us, he was probably super big in like, I don't know where he's from, like Puerto Rico or I feel like he might be from Puerto Rico, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
People like Young Miko. I fucking love Young Miko. I don't know if
Fire.
you guys know who she is.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
the song.
yeah, so she's super fucking talented. Yeah, those are like some of my favorite artists I'm listening to right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, my favorite
Cool.
song right now is probably "Girls" by Kid Laroi. I don't know if
Great
you heard
song.
that. That
Yeah,
song is
great
fucking
record.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, Kid Laroi is sick.
yeah.
For sure.
He brought his like Justin Timberlake Timbaland back.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious, do you think you'll ever get back into making music as an artist?
Everyone asks me this all the time because I actually played a song for a friend that I made like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, you should write more. And I think it's literally, I don't have a mic anymore, and I don't have Logic, and I don't have a Focusrite. I feel like if I had that, I would probably like do it for fun. And me and Ben have been meaning to do it for a while,
Yeah.
and then we just get so busy. So
Yeah.
I definitely want to get back to it, like for fun, and
Yeah.
maybe like write a song for somebody. I feel like that'd be cool.
But you found a new hobby in DJing.
I did, yeah. So
Tell
I
me
am
about
DJing
this obsession
now.
because you've been on this.
I love DJing so much. I
Yeah.
feel like when I was tour managing for Murda, I would always do sound checks. And during the sound checks, I would like try DJing, and like I was like, bro, this is so fun, like playing in a club and hearing a
Yeah.
sound come out, like it's dope. Like, so I was like, I really want to try this and see how it works. So I think I don't really remember what my first gig was. I don't know if I don't think it
Bro,
was that
okay, can
party.
I recall?
Yeah,
When I met you, you DJ'd Div's party last year.
yeah.
It was 2 years ago.
2
It was
years
2 years
ago.
ago. That
But
might
he
have
was
been
DJing
the
I,
first
and,
thing.
No,
bro,
no, you
I
were
was
DJing
listening to
before
all the
that.
tracks like, damn, this guy got a really solid set of tracks
I
playing. You
appreciate
got it
that.
popping like you were moving the room, and I was like, shit.
I
Like,
love that you said that because
Yeah.
that's kind of how I describe my style. So
Yeah.
when people ask me what I play, it's
Yeah.
such a mix
Yeah.
that I feel like that resonates with people because they're not listening to the same shit. It's like constantly teasing your ear because it's not just hip hop.
Yeah.
It's not just pop. It's not just R&B. It's not just Latin. I'm throwing in weird mixes
Random
you
stuff.
won't think of.
Yeah.
Like I'll listen to a song and be like, oh, I need to mix this into fucking Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Like, you know what I mean? Or like go into
Yeah.
like Britney Spears Toxic into fucking Hotel Lobby. Like, you know what I mean? Like shit like that. So I kind of like to cater to the audience that I'm playing for. And each set is going to be different. Like if I'm catering for a certain type of audience, I'm not going to play a certain type of song and vice versa. So every time I've DJ'd, and I'm saying this humbly because I'm a very humble person. I don't even like toot my own horn. But every time I've DJ'd, I swear on everything, I've had at least 3 people come up to me and say that where they're like, bro, you're one of the best DJs I've ever heard. And I'm just like, dude, I do this as a hobby. Like I'm not even getting
Yeah.
paid to do this right now. So my first paid gig was at a casino 2 or
did
3
a
weeks
casino.
ago. Yeah. which was super fucking fun. I DJ'd for like 6 hours. It was
Yeah.
kind of intense. But they paid me well, so I was excited about that. And then my next thing might be Div's party on
Let's
Friday.
go.
We're trying to figure it out. We're working out the
We'll make it,
details.
we'll make
His
it work.
management's talking
We'll
about
close the
management. I don't
We'll
know.
close the deal. We'll
Yeah,
close
we're
the
closing the deal. We might get there. We're like debating terms. And then my best friend is getting married next month. And I'm secretly DJing her wedding, so I got to remember not to post this part of the interview. But
got it. Yeah,
we'll
cut it out. We'll cut it out.
like save that for when I actually do it. But yeah, so we're plotting that. So I'm excited because I'm gonna come up out of nowhere and just like start DJing. All my
That's
friends
so
are gonna be
awesome.
like, "What the fuck, you're DJing? I'm so hyped." So yeah, I love DJing. It's the best.
Yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned casino. You
Yeah.
have a weird obsession with poker. Can you
I
tell us
do.
about
Yeah.
that?
So poker is like, it's such an amazing game to me. Like it's
I don't
it's
want.
not.
I don't even want to
yeah,
sit
we
at the
played that
table
one
with you.
time.
No,
He's
I don't want to sit at
crazy,
the
bro.
I've
bro.
gotten
Like
even
if
better too,
if
by
you
the
invite
way.
me poker parties, Brennan's coming. I'm like, fuck that. I don't want to
Yeah,
play.
don't pull up
Yeah,
to
I don't
the
want to
poker
play.
night.
Like it's
I remember
it's
one
a
time
losing.
me and Div were all in, and like he was ahead, but I knew I think I had like a flush draw or something, and like I was counting my percentage, and I was like, I have like 40% chance to win, and then I called and I got there or something. I was
That's
like,
so
hyped.
funny.
was
I
like,
remember
I'm a
that.
Bro,
genius.
you know when I realized it was an unfair game was when you were playing like against someone one on, and like you like called this person. He either has this or this.
Yeah.
And then
He had it.
and
or
then he
something.
had it, and I
Yeah.
was like, this is so fucked up.
So
Like
you're-
this dude knows the cards before
Yeah.
anything. So
So
Yeah.
like you're you're a high level poker player.
Yeah,
Like
so
have
I-
you studied the trade?
I have studied. I read books. I watch YouTube videos of other people playing.
Got it.
So I get to like a position where, you know, I'm able to kind of like study the game and like learn it on a different level and know the math behind it. I'm still learning and I'm still trying to figure out
Yeah.
what stakes are like the best for me and like trying to figure out which players I want to play against, because that's the main thing. You just want to have an edge against other players, because it's the only game in the casino where you're not playing the house. You're playing against other people. Blackjack,
Yeah.
you're playing the house. Baccarat, you're playing the house. Roulette, you're playing the house. Poker is actually a potentially profitable.
okay, so you're
sport.
calculating your hands.
Yep.
But are you also like looking at the player?
It's a
too?
whole. There's a lot of.
Is
thought
there
going
anything
into
that
it.
you lean in? Are you leaning more into the math side of it?
No,
or are you leaning into like this player? Like
It's both. Like I'm really trying to get better at player reading and understanding their bet sizes, because when people bet a certain amount, they're screaming what they have. And good players will bet a certain amount to show, this is what I want you to think I have. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
a good player will bet small so that someone raises them so that they get more money in. You know what I mean? So I'm getting into that kind of level of thinking with it too.
Dang.
Yeah, it's getting deeper and deeper as I kind of play, but it's been amazing and I love it.
Have you ever played in like a high level table?
Yes.
With a
Very
lot of
good
money
players.
at risk?
Yes. It's very
fuck.
stressful. It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you do it? So when you're playing
those
against
are like
a high
more,
level,
those are more like
competition.
break-even games for me.
Okay.
I want to find games where it's just like there's no question on the best player. Like I can make hundreds of dollars.
So you're there trying to like actually make money. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's the goal. For me,
Okay.
it's not about the money, but like my goal is to be profitable.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting at a table and it's not a good table for me, I'll leave and go to a better table where the players are either way worse or just like I know that I have the edge, because that's like where you want to find yourself. That's how you become a good player. Yeah. So
Are you like hitting the casino on a weekly basis? Like
I'll
is
go
that-
like once a week on the weekends. Yeah. So like, my goal is to like, my goal at the end of the day is to make like $1,000 a week playing right now.
Wow.
Like that's the goal, and
Are
that's
you
kind of
hitting
what
it?
I'm doing. That yeah. So
Damn, that's
there's gonna
lit.
there's gonna be times where I'm losing. Like that's
Yeah.
gonna offset the times that I need to win. So like there's gonna be times where I go and I lose a couple hundred.
Bro, if you're making that, you're making an entry level salary.
Exactly. So that's
crazy.
That's the goal for me. So there's gonna be times where I might win like 2 weeks in a row and then lose like a week, like $800. So it's like my goal at the end of the day is to do like 3 to 4 or like 2,000 to 4,000 a month. That's like my goal right now. So
What's interesting about you is, despite like how humble you are, I do notice that you do value money, and so I'm curious like what your perspective is on financial freedom and money, and like how does that relationship work for you?
for me, I really like to focus on what the future Brennen wants to be like, like I said before. So my goal is to always put money aside and also to invest into things that I'm passionate about. So right now I have money sitting for an opportunity that I'm working on with Ben, like I was telling you. We're currently closing on a Section 8 housing property, hopefully within the next month. That'll probably bring in around like $900 total, and we split that. And that's just on the cash flow side. And then obviously the equity will go up as time passes. But yeah, my goal is to just kind of keep that going and like just put most of my money into that, into like stock market and growth funds and things like that. And then, have this little poker thing on the side. And I use like, I have a quote unquote bankroll. So I'm not really pulling out money. I play from like a cash amount.
Oh, got it.
That like I keep in my somewhere in my house.
Where in your house? That's okay. Cool. I was just curious because I think for a long time money became my god, and I think that's where it was like, okay, we need to chill out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a tool. It's not your god.
But the good thing is like we're so young that finding that out early is so important, because you don't want to find that out later and then you're out of money. Like right now, you can probably lose all the money you have and figure out a way to get all of it back.
For sure.
So
just rob your house.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so we're in a place right now at our age where we want to take risks. That's why I'm doing these investments. That's why I'm trying to play poker and learn that, because that could end up paying off if I'm learning at a high level. There's a guy my age named Rampage. He plays a little crazy, so I'll actually reference this guy Mariano. His name is Ethan, but he goes by Rampage. I'll reference this guy Mariano because Rampage is a little on a downswing right now, so we'll talk about Mariano. But guy. Mariano made like $600,000 from playing poker last year. And he's 27.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I feel like you could do that.
I know. He plays crazy buy-ins though. He'll buy in for like $100,000. But he started at 2-3. $300.
Wow.
He started at games that I play. So it's like that's what I'm passionate about. And like he dropped everything and started playing poker. I'm not going to do that. So it's going to take me a lot longer, because he was probably grinding every single day to build up his bankroll. For me, it's once a week. And if I lose like a week of bankroll. So it's like it's kind of annoying, but it takes time.
If God came down tomorrow and told you could make $5 million being a music executive, a DJ, or a poker player, which one are you doing?
See, the thing is, like, I love all those things, so that's such a hard question for me, but I would probably say poker.
That's cool.
Oh, wow.
Fucking knew it. I knew you were going to say, oh, shit.
I just study it all the time, and I love it, so it's like, I don't know. I'd probably say poker. I don't know. DJing would probably be pretty sick, too, though. I'm not going to lie.
Touring the world.
See, but all those things I love so much, like music, too. I don't know.
You could play poker on the tour bus.
Then maybe DJ. Yeah. I would love to DJ. That would
and then you would have your own label or whatever.
Exactly.
So you do all three.
I don't know. I want to do all three. Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, you can.
Yeah.
I think we got a wrap, bro, but this is great. I'd love to do a
much.
part 2 in like 5 years.
I'm
just
down.
to see how you're doing. But if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
I'm Liddell, all socials. I also have my poker Instagram, which is at Liddell Poker.
I didn't know that.
If you're curious, go ahead and shoot me a follow. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Twitter, I'm barely on, but it's at I'm Liddell too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming
you
on,
so much
bro.
for having me.
I love
Appreciate
you.
it, bro.
Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a review. Episode 104 in the book. Stay tuned for episode 105. We have a really exciting guest coming up. And again, please leave a review. It's super helpful. We love you.
Also, free thug.
Free thug. You see the girl that got the Trump tattoo on her face?
No.
Oh, my God. I'll show you after. Bye.